Hi, welcome back or welcome to my channel if you're new. My name is Laura. Hi, hello, welcome. Today we are actually going to do, it's a little preemptive, I know. I am planning on switching out my rotating palettes that I started doing last month. I want to say it's a little like a week shy of like a full-on month, but this is just kind of in the cards of where it fit in my schedule that I have set out for myself for content this month, and that's totally fine. So I got some really solid use out of these palettes. This was like the last look that I really truly wanted to do. Like in my build my own palette for this month, I really wanted to do like a monochromatic blue eye look, and we have now done it, and I'm very excited. I'm really digging this look. I did something similar to this and filmed it one of my first videos in 2020. I'll link it. Like, not that anyone really wants to see it, but I'll link it just in case. But I really enjoyed using all of the 4 palettes that we had. So just to recap, we had the YSL Color Clutch in Marrakech. I also had my Natasha Denona Mini Nude palette, really beautiful palette. My Kaleidos Futurism 7 Sashimi City. That is so hard for me to say, like, the entire title of the palette. Sashimi City, Futurism 7, a lot of and then in here was my Urban Decay Heavy Metals palette that I depotted. Again, beautiful palette. I'm missing a couple shades because they're in another palette. That's fine. We're not here for that. But yeah, I used almost every shade. There were 3 shades in the Heavy Metals palette that I didn't reach for the past couple months. They are this silver, this orangey bronze, and then this color down here. I forget what this is. Punk Rock, I want to say. Roadie by Urban Decay. I don't like this shade really. And then these two. There's a time and a place, and that time and place did not call. I also have been very limited in like how much eyeshadow I've been wearing. This is like the second full glam look I've done in over a week. It's fine. We're here for it though. But yeah, those were the 3 shades that I didn't get a chance to use in like the past 3 or 4 weeks. Everything else I at least reached into a couple times. I marked it all down, like what I did and how many times I used it. I don't really think I'm going to go into that too much. Maybe I will. Maybe I should. Maybe I should just at least say the shade that I reached for the most in each palette. Is that something most and least? Maybe. So in my YSL Color Clutch, I filmed a palette bingo using all 4 of these, and I really enjoyed the look that I came up with. I will link it up in the cards as well. Yeah, I really enjoyed my palette bingo with this. So every shade in this palette at least got used once. I have like one pinky, my pinky finger popped off today, so we're just not going to use that hand. So this was the YSL Marrakech palette. We used every shade in this. I don't know if you can tell, like some of these colors, like here and here, you can see, hopefully it translates in like the actual recording, not just like my monitor. And in person, I can see like where I've been touching my brush. And I don't know if it's because there's an overspray on these, or if you just kind of like use them and they change color as like you're using them. I don't really know, but I definitely can see like where in the pan I've used these 2 shades in particular. You can also tell inside of this like dark blacky with shimmer. I do have that on my lid as well today, along with these blues. Yeah, there is that. So the shade, I used 4 shades 3 times. They're these 2 here, the light pink, this dark red, then surprisingly, the blues. Who would have thought I would reach for blues some of the most times out of this palette, but that's kind of why I kept drawing myself into this palette, was for those blue shades. Then in my Natasha Denona Mini Nude palette, beautiful palette, I reached for this transition shade the most. We have 3 pans in this palette. It's hard to see it in this one, but These two have pan as well. I'm nowhere near pan in the matte shades, which is totally fine. I really didn't expect to be. I used this dark, I didn't bring my Subculture palette like in front of me when I was doing my makeup, so I ended up using this shade in like the front of my brows, and then the black shade of all things in like the tail of my brows, and I don't think that it looks bad. It's not my best brow day, but it doesn't look bad, and I'm fine with that. But yeah, I used the transition shade in this palette the most this month, which kind of surprised me, honestly. In my Kaleidos Sashimi City, I used 2 shades, a total of 6 times. Everything else was definitely less than that. Those shades were this guy here, totally understandable. This is one of my favorite kinds of shades. This with my Subculture palette really gave me Subculture like electric vibes. I used this shade with Subculture yesterday. We went out to a concert for like the first time in 2 years. I will pop a picture. I will pop a picture of the look that I did yesterday. It's really pretty, very, very Subculture-esque. But that was using this shade called Penthouse. I also reached into Gourmet over here 6 times, which doesn't seem like a lot, but for someone that hasn't worn makeup a whole lot in the past few weeks, that was a lot of times for me. That's a lot of times for me as of lately. So I'm very happy I got so much use out of this. I didn't say it yet, but Haley gifted me this palette. So thank you, Haley. I really love this. I really can't wait to reach into these palettes more as well. And then the last palette was this guy, the Urban Decay Heavy Metals palette. And it really doesn't shock me what shade in here I reached for the most. I am trying to finish this shade off this year in my Ditch the Discontinued project pan. So I used this one 4 times out of here. Honorable mentions, these 2 shades I used, these 2 shades I used twice. These 2 shades I used twice. And then this shade I used twice, which is surprising because I don't really like that shade normally. But yeah, so not terrible. Not terrible at all. But it's time to switch things up, and I'm excited about that. So I'm trying to get to my palettes in here. So I have a list of my palettes, and we highlighted the palettes that we've used this round. So I am going to just generate another 4 palettes, maybe 5. We'll see when we get there. But I am excited about this. I'm very excited. We're not going to do repeats. So these palettes that we use this time, we're not going to repeat them. So there is that. And I will hold the liberty of, if I feel like I've reached for a palette a sufficient amount of times that gets generated and I don't want to work on it, I can re-roll. That is totally fair. It's my random project of like really no rules. I kind of just want to be inspired by my collection now. So I have the numbers 1 through 36, which is the number of palettes that I have in my collection. No, it's not. I have 37 because we got a new one in, but that's fine. I've been reaching for the new one, which was this Joah Chasing the Sun palette. I've reached for this a couple times already. So Bandit's outside and he's barking at someone. We're not going to roll that into this. That's fine. I really want to focus on like the older palettes in my collection anyway, so totally fine by me. So I have the numbers 1 through 36. I have my eyeshadow palettes organized by name of the palette rather than brand or anything like that. So it's going to be a very big surprise to me what we roll. So the first one is 18. Which is, I'm glad I looked at this. Normally I would just generate the numbers. Number 18 is my YSL Marrakech palette, so we're not gonna roll that. So we're gonna just set that to the side, that's fine. The second one that we're gonna roll in is 14, which is, ooh, okay, I can roll 14 in, that's exciting. So we got 14, then we're going to do number 12. I'm so excited for this one. Then 8. Ooh, that's a good one too. One more for right now, and then, ooh, 11, which we can roll in as well. That's totally fine. I'm gonna grab those palettes and I'll be right back. Okay, so I have my 4 palettes in front of me, and I gotta say I'm pretty darn excited about this. So the first item, the first number we rolled was 18, but we couldn't roll 18 in. So the second item that we rolled was 14, and that is actually my Glam Light Ice Cream Dream Palette. And I did use every single shade, I think. No, I didn't. I did a 3 looks 1 palette with this palette, but I haven't used every single shade in it. And I'm excited to dip into this more. This is one of my newest palettes, but I really only filmed that 3 looks 1 palette and then didn't touch it after that. So I'm excited to kind of dip in and get some more use out of this. So that is palette number 1, and I'm excited. Palette number 2 was number 12, and number 12 was the palette that I'm so excited about this one. I'm trying to open it real quick. So the palette number 12 is actually this beautiful baby here. This is my Natasha Denona green brown palette. A shade is missing because I pulled it for something else, but I will pop the shade back into here so I could use this thing in its beautiful entirety. I haven't given myself permission to actually like use this palette, so I cannot wait. This is the palette that like I wanted for so long, and then I bought it and just like used it like 1 or 2 times and just kind of was like, I don't want to use too much of you, which is so silly. So I cannot wait to dip in and use the heck out of this palette. I'm so excited about this. This is like, I could just have rolled this in and been like, okay, no more palettes. I want to give you all of my time and attention. But I really want to start focusing on spreading the love in my collection rather than just 1 or 2 palettes. The third palette was number 8, which I'm excited for this one as well. This is my Juvia's Place Deuce palette, and I actually think this will pair super well with the green brown palette. Let me just hold them up side by side. And also, obviously, like the ice cream palette has like shades that will really complement this, but I think some of the mattes in this palette here would really complement this palette here, because this has some really beautiful shimmers. So does this one, don't get me wrong, but where the green brown palette I feel lacks a little bit more matte shadows, this has some really beautiful staple matte shadows. And I feel like maybe I might be able to hit pan in this teal shade. There's really not much of a dip in anything. I have 2 pans in this palette already in the creme shade and in berry mousse here. But yeah, I'm excited. And I love the Juvia's Place formula. And I don't know what beautiful thing has happened this year for my randomization, but I've been pulling so many of my Juvia's Place palettes out, and I am here for it. I'm here for the JP eyeshadows, here for it. The last palette though is a palette that like I really wanted, and then I got it and I just don't reach for it as much as I use it. And Josh actually gifted me this, but the last palette is Going Coconuts. Totally a beautiful palette, totally great staples. Again, I can use it with my Natasha Denona green brown palette and create really great looks. I also feel like this palette will staple the Ice Cream Dream palette really, really well, because this has so much color, and this just like can ground and set the look up, you know? So I feel like for the most part, I'll probably be reaching into the colorful shimmers in this palette and not so much the colorful mattes. That's totally fine, because we have this beauty, and then we have, I feel like these almost lean more neutral. It's weird how many neutral toned palettes I've rolled in this project, this experiment, well, this way to rotate my collection more, just because I was kind of almost burnt out of doing colorful eyeshadow all the time, and now it's almost the opposite, where I'm like, I have too much neutral, but this baby will facilitate the itch of colorful eyeshadows just fine. And words cannot express how excited I am to use this beauty. But yeah, that is it. That is my rotating palette project that I'm doing, trying to get use in my whole entire eyeshadow collection. Definitely no way to use them all by the end of the year. I mean, there's only a few months left of 2021. We're over the halfway mark of the year, so I don't think it's possible to get through the rest of the palettes, but I do think it's possible to reach for the palettes that haven't gotten love yet, and at least spread the love a little bit more than I have in the past. But that is it. That is everything for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know if oh, I did get some really great feedback from you guys on my rotating palette, like how you're happy that I'm like gonna fluctuate through my collection more, and that you guys were also, some of you were burnt out on like panless eyeshadows and hyper focusing on a few select shades and like how you want to spread the love too. I really appreciate that you guys like sent that positive feedback for this. But yeah, let me know if you want to see again any like palette bingos, if you want to see any dedicated videos using these palettes on their own, or if you want me to do like another palette bingo using them all together. I'm happy to do both. I'm happy to do either. I'm happy to do neither if you don't want any of those. But that is it for this video. Let me know any looks that you'd like to see with these. Let me know anything that you want to tell me. Happy to listen, happy to hear from you guys. But that is it. That is everything for this video. I hope you guys are staying healthy, sane, and safe, and I will catch you in my next video. Bye!